Let's get it. Let's go. Let's grow. Welcome back to another episode of Convos with Creators, powered by the #1 influencer marketing platform in the game, Creator. Y'all know by now, I be bringing some powerhouse guests on here, and they're all sharing their story of how they've been able to create income and build large communities on social media and be able to get some really, really big brand deals in the process. And if you're somebody who is serious about monetizing on social media, working with brands, getting paid to create content, I can promise you that Creator is the best platform to do it, because they don't charge you anything. So all you got to do right now is comment, get paid. I don't care if you're watching this live or you're watching this as a replay. Comment, get paid, and you will get a DM so that you can get a free account with Creator and start landing some paid brand deals. If you're creating content anyway, you might as well get paid for it, and you might as well get paid by the brands that you love. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this on the live so you can go ahead and comment, get paid. But I'm super excited, man. I have a very special guest that I'm bringing on here. He's become a buddy of mine. I've been following him for quite some time. He's been following me for quite some time, and I get a lot of great ideas and a lot of inspiration from the way that he creates content and the way that he connects with his community. And this man was able to do some incredible things in the world of social media as a content creator. He was a full-time teacher for 8 years, and then he turned into a full-time content creator. And this is a story that I believe is going to have your jaw dropping, and you're going to want to learn everything about how this man was able to build a full-time career using his phone as a vice to create content. So his name is Lucas O'Keefe. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring him on here. This is my guy here. So drop your location in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from, even if you're watching this as a replay. We want to see where our audience is coming from. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
I think the sun is going down as I'm sitting here. There we go.
Let's go. Hey, listen, you are the sun right now, okay? You are all the light we need, Lucas.
That's awesome. I like this time of night to do a live. This is refreshing. It's good. They're always in the morning, but it's nice to do it this time of day.
Oh, for sure, man. It's great because you work hard, you get through the day, take care of all the responsibilities, and then you get to have like a little laid back conversation, man. So I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your crazy busy world to be here with us, man.
No, it's always great to chat.
Yeah, appreciate you, Lucas. So yeah, man, there's I know there's a lot of people on here that are familiar with you, and there's a handful of people that don't know who you are yet. But in a nutshell, man, who is Lucas, man? Who is Lucas?
Well, I hopped on. I heard your very kind introduction, so thank you very much. I'm a content creator, is what I say first and foremost. Content creator, well, teacher turned content creator turned social media influencer. I think the influencer term is something people avoid, right? And it's become the cool thing to call ourselves content creators, because it's like social media influencer and the whole lifestyle thing has been what everyone's focused on. But I think it all overlaps. There's all these different realms. You can be in all those different worlds. So I am a teacher, whether it's online or in a classroom, content creator, social media influencer, audience being super important, and having a message being super important for all three of those.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and let's talk about that, man. So you have an incredible story, man. And I think that, your story is something that can inspire so many people, right? Because this idea of working a regular job and being able to build a personal brand at the same time, let alone build a personal brand successfully enough to turn it into a significant stream of income, it seems very foreign to a lot of people. And I think that that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't take being a creator as serious as they could, and in some cases as serious as they should, man. So what was it like going from being a full-time teacher to dabbling in the world of content creation and being a creator? Was it something that you always had your eyes on, or was it something that piqued your interest at some point in time?
Yeah, I'd actually say it was it was very difficult for me for a very long time. And I think many people can probably sympathize with this or relate to this. But when you have a 9-to-5 job, or even when you have, your friends and family, your social life, it's a very vulnerable thing to step into the online world and to become a content creator. You are You got to be public, very public to be a content creator. No one with a private account ever made it big, I don't think, at least. I don't know, maybe with those new Billie Eilish tactics of making everybody your close friend, we'll get there one day. But
Right.
to be a content creator, you have to be in public. You have to be in the public eye. And it was very difficult as a teacher to be out there creating content. I obviously had to, my content is always very PG, I say, but or G rated, yeah, family rated.
Yeah.
But you still got to be careful because you are putting yourself out there online. I know people who aren't teachers have also felt a lot of discomfort around the idea of getting online because they're worried about what their friends might think or what their family might think or what their
100%.
or what their coworkers might think, and that overlaps. So I faced all that just as much as anybody else. But I'm so glad that I started, and I didn't build in private, right? I know some people have this concept of building in private, which is like, don't tell anybody what you're doing until you're big and then say, hey, everybody, here's what I've been working on.
Right.
But I've really realized that that can actually be to the detriment of our creativity, right? If we're approaching what we're creating and putting out there with this fear that our closest friends and family or our coworkers shouldn't see it, I think we're probably going to be holding ourselves back.
Absolutely.
So I'm really grateful that I did just go all out. I started creating, sharing my message, didn't hide it from the world, and I'm just overwhelmed with the support I got from it. So anybody feeling that way, I can just say it's such a relatable feeling. I'd love to know if you've had experiences with that as well, but it's just such a relatable experience to be worried about what the people closest to you are going to think. 9 times out of 10, they're not your customer or your target audience anyway. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what's interesting in that you say that, man? I'm glad you dive into that because I think this is something that's going to be very impactful for everybody listening. That feeling of hesitation and imposter syndrome too, to a certain degree. A lot of times we reference imposter syndrome or connect imposter syndrome to not being at the top of our game in the industry amongst other people who seem to be at the top of their game or further along. And we feel like, we don't really belong here. But there's also that imposter syndrome that stems from you doing something different than what your family and friends know you for. And you're thinking about what they think about you and how they may see you as an imposter because technically they know the real you.
Right.
So it's hard for a lot of people to make that mental and emotional transition as well. And you experience that, which I think is very relatable. And I definitely experienced that to a certain degree. Now, obviously, my personal brand on Instagram, there's a lot of silliness and edutainment, and I've always been a class clown. But that imposter syndrome and that pressure, that internal pressure of what are my friends who knew me for this, not this, gonna think of me, that always weighed on my mind for a certain period of time as well. But like you say, you get into it, and once you get into a groove, it just becomes a part of who you are, and you start to kind of forget about what other people think about you.
I think the big thing about imposter syndrome comes from fear of failure. We're afraid to tell people we're doing this because we don't believe that's a sign we don't believe in ourselves, right? I'm afraid to tell my friends and family because I'm going to be embarrassed when I don't succeed at this or I don't do well. But if you think about what I just said and how I just said that, that's already just showing you don't believe in yourself, right? So I've fully found, I just saw a great comment, Sober CBD Mom, I think imposter syndrome is your brain saying, go back to the old comfy spot, stop doing this new stuff. It's so true, right? It's nobody is born, well, there's all these kid influencers now, but most people aren't born being comfortable creating content on social media. It is a very vulnerable thing, even going live. This is probably my 2000th hour going live. I've done tons in my life. I love this. This is my favorite format on Instagram that I think is and it's very underused. But I still pay attention to I wonder if any of my friends and family are I'm pulling up the audience right now. And that's a very vulnerable, if you are, say hello.
Hey, say hi to Lucas, y'all.
But that's a very vulnerable thing. We're just always out there. We're always in the open, and there's a lot of responsibility and vulnerability that goes with it, but so much upside too, because in the past, where if I were to start a business, all I really had was brick and mortar, handing out flyers, running ads or commercials, traditional stuff. So it's so nice to know that, yes, it's vulnerable to have to be on social media and to put yourself out there for all to see. But that's a massive opportunity, and we know that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that saying outwardly that you're a creator or even an influencer is becoming less taboo now,
Yeah.
because we see how it's impacting the current and the future generation. Like you just mentioned, there's little kids that are making millions of dollars opening up Pokemon cards. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, who are we to say that it's not a real thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with everything you're saying, man. And for you, in your journey, like when you first got started, like, did you know what niche you wanted to go into, or did it take you some time to figure out where you really wanted to focus?
Yeah, it was actually nothing to do with like social media marketing or content creation. I started with making online lessons, like teacher
Yeah.
oriented lessons. So around 2016, yeah, or no, let's see, a bit after that, 2018 or so, shortly before COVID. I started making these online YouTube lessons that I thought, well, this is like the ideal thing I would like to show to my students in the classroom. I'd like to not just put on a video on YouTube and go to the back of the class and
Right.
have the YouTube teacher class. I wanted like interactive digital lessons that were in the form of a video. So I created a bunch of those, and I had a lot of fun doing that. Went out. I think I made this joke to you on one of your posts recently, where you brought out all your video gear, and I went out and bought like everything I thought I needed. And this was also like 5-6 years ago, so it's all
looking like a total noob, right?
Yeah, I bought everything, and I like it's in like a closet somewhere.
Yep.
But that, like, I just learned lessons from creating that. Started making content across a bunch of different niches. I was making like science-based content on TikTok back in 2019, before TikTok really blew up during the pandemic. I've had gaming channels that I've grown pretty successfully. So I just enjoy starting projects, creating things. Fortunately, I really did focus a lot of attention into this personal brand, which is organized around, regardless of what your niche is, being a content creator does have some standard things that are important to know, regardless of anyone in this audience, what their niche is. Navigating social media and presenting your message in content, there are some things that stick and work across the board. So as I was learning those, I started sharing those as well. And that's where this brand came about.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah, it's and it's really interesting that for you, as well as so many other people in here that I know can relate, like it wasn't like a straight shot, right? It wasn't like a straight road to, all right, this is the niche that I'm in, and this is what I'm doing, this is what's working. Like sometimes it ends up being a different road that you divert to because of something that you learned somewhere else. Like, right, you got on YouTube, you wanted to continue to teach people, find an interactive way to teach your students and make it entertaining and fun. And then you pursued using social media for your gaming passions and build up communities there. And then you found this space where you can teach the basic principles of growing on social media, and a wider audience of people could actually benefit from it. And that stuck with you, right? And you've been consistent for a period of time. And you told me before we got on here that there was an overlap between your teaching career and you being a creator for about 4 years. So let's talk about that, man. I think that is magnificent. Like, I don't know if anybody else is as impressed as I am, but like the fact that you were working a 9-to-5 job and 8 hours a day, and even extra hours outside of that, preparing lessons for your students and stuff like that, and then strategically planning content that is reaching the masses, making an impact, growing your community here, which kind of makes you feel like you have a heavier responsibility when your community grows. How did you manage that? Like, what was the time management? Because I'm pretty sure some people here that are working a full-time job and creating content or trying to figure out how to make it work, they want to know how do you find that balance? So what is it for you?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing would be, like, you're going to have a priority in that, right? Like in the journey of being a content creator, growing my brand here, being a full-time teacher, I don't have children, right? Like I don't have children to care for. So I know many people also have that element, or other people in their family or close to their lives who they care for. That's going to take up their time. And it really does come down to, obviously those are different priorities, but when it comes to work, like having a 9-to-5 and having like a side hustle or a business that you would like to make into your full-time gig, you do have to pick what's going to be more important. And for the longest time, obviously my 9-to-5 as a teacher, which was directly paying me a salary, was the bigger priority, right? So it was about, okay, I have those set hours as a teacher. well, how can I start to make sure that even though being a teacher is a very mentally draining job,
Yes.
how can I make sure that I'm getting home or in the morning? I'm not a morning person, so for me, it was when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
How can I make sure that when I'm getting home, I still have energy or a plan to do something that contributes to my business? I was listening to a podcast today about it's about board game design. It's something I'm passionate about, just as like a fun thing. And it was just like a bunch of tips for being better at being a board game designer. And probably wondering, what does that have to do with social media? But the guy described, or the podcast host, first time I ever heard the podcast, he described the story of a friend who was trying to set goals to get better at doing something. And he was trying to like get in better shape. It was the story. I think it's true. He was trying to get in better shape. And what he did was he wanted to start swimming. Weightlifting wasn't for him. He wanted to swim. But the goal he set for himself wasn't like, I'm going to swim 100 laps a day or every single day. It was, I'm going to just get my body into the pool every day. Like he just said, like if he was busy, he was going to drive. I don't know. Maybe it's at his house. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if he was busy, he was just going to walk into the pool, put himself in there and get out. But you know what? You get in the pool, your body's wet. That's the uncomfortable part. You're not just going to get out. You're going to swim, right? So finding just even small things to do was what was important to me. For me, I did make that. Like I wanted to prioritize showing up and creating content every day, which I know there are, you and I like to create content. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of like different, opinions on like,
some people create because they have no choice. Yeah.
Right. Like some people to say you have to post every day or multiple times a day, that could be toxic. I love creating content every day. So for me, it's not, right? So no one's forcing you to do it, but I loved creating content. So while I was working my teaching job, I said, I want to make sure I at least have a post every single day. Sometimes that was coming home and finding a shortcut to make a quick post that was still a good quality. Sometimes it was batch recording on the weekends. But I think set a small benchmark that you want to reach while you're doing whatever is taking more of your time and energy. Make sure you are at least showing up for even a small bit for the thing you're trying to grow on the side. And that's just the best way to stay consistent with it is what I found. Because if I had, like I've still had projects that I've started, did one post for it, and then I never touch it again. So like it is important to just keep going is what I would say, especially when you have something like a family or like a full-time job that is taking more of your time and energy. It's good to just set that requirement to show up even a little bit on what you want to build.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. First of all, everybody drop some fire emojis, whether you're watching this live or the replay, because Lucas just dropped some gems there, man. And I think what people don't understand is the mindset piece of being a creator, right? It's yes, of course, there's plenty of tangibles in terms of recording the content, editing the content, but a lot of times people don't stay consistent and don't even get started because of setting these outrageous expectations of themselves. And then when it's not met, it discourages you from getting started and it pushes you further back from the starting point mentally. And it gets to the point where you never get started or you never finish at all. And what Lucas was saying, what you were saying, bro, about just getting in the water. Like if you just like same thing with like gym. I think of that as like the fitness analogy, right? Like I don't feel like going to the gym, but once I drive there and I walk into the gym, I'm going to work out. I'm not going to not do anything because I'm here now, right? So it's the same thing with like creating content. Once you take out the paper and start writing the script, you're in it. Once you set up the tripod and the camera, it's set up, you might as well record something, So just setting those bite-sized, achievable goals that get you in motion, and then you have the capacity to build on it later on. And I love how you use that to just kind of balance out working full time and building your business and your career as a creator as well, man. So let's I know people are on it. They're like, all right, we want to hear about this money stuff, this full-time stuff. Because you said this guy was a full-time teacher. Now he don't do that no more because I'm trying to get out of my job. I don't want to be a full-time what I'm doing right now. How do I get to where you're at? So let's kind of transition into that, man. When did you get? Well, let me ask you this. What was the first time or at what point in your journey did you get your first brand deal opportunity, whether you took it or not? When did it first come to you in your journey?
That is actually something that I, in hindsight, I would have started a lot earlier or a lot sooner was monetizing or doing brand deals. But again, something I want to highlight is there are so many people who will be like, I've never been the here's how to, have 38 figure months or whatever people call it, right? Like I've
Right,
never
right,
been that guy. I've
right,
always been like, create a job from doing what you like to do
right.
that is rewarding and fulfilling. And yes, for me, something rewarding and fulfilling does have a financial element. So I do like to make sure that
Yeah,
those needs are met.
yeah,
But I've been fully transparent that it was a gradual step for
yeah.
me because again, I had my teaching job. I have a pretty, I'm not a very risk taking person is what I've learned. So
Mm,
I wasn't looking to full on quit teaching, not have a platform at all,
right,
and go all into it. Someone else might be, and it doesn't mean they're more right or more or less right than I am.
right.
It's all about your own risks and the plan you have.
Yep.
But what I did was, as I started my brand, so in March of 2020, approximately,
Hmm.
when I started things up, I was still fully teaching. I didn't get my first brand deal until the summer of 2021. So a full year and a half, approximately, a
Wow.
year and 3 months, a year and a quarter.
Right.
I did monetize that. I did monetize January 2020. I created a digital product, which was a content calendar that I still sell every single year.
Which
And
is
my
amazing.
and I've it was like it's the only digital product I actually sell because I've had so much success with this thing.
Yeah.
But I just sell it every year, and it's been awesome for that. I sell more and more each year.
Yeah.
But in 2021, the summer of 2021, I had my first brand deal, which was already a tool I used. The brand reached out to me. I was already doing tutorial content for so many different tools for
Wow.
free. A brand reached out to me and said like, "Hey, we have this like conference we're doing." That's my favorite kind of thing to promote too, is like events, right? Free events, especially.
Gotcha.
More educational resources. So many brands put out good educational resources. So they were like, "Hey, can you make a reel promoting this?" So I said, "Sure." Like I already use this product, already a fan of what you guys are creating. So I did. Process was very cool. I got to understand what it means to read a content brief, right? To have
Mm.
someone propose, and that was a good content brief. I've since seen bad content briefs from other
Yeah.
brands,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it was a very positive experience.
Yeah.
They offered me the price. I think at the time it was $500.
Wow.
They came out and offered me $500, and that was a very good benchmark for me to be like, oh,
Absolutely.
okay. I wouldn't have known what to charge. So I'm grateful that for this first brand deal,
Right.
the brand offered me a budget.
Yeah.
They had a content brief of what they would like me to do.
Right.
They were pretty reasonable in me applying my own unique twist to it. So I was really fortunate with that experience going very well.
Right.
And from it, I realized like I share tutorial based content on how to use these tools all the time. That's how I give value to my audience. I can very easily do more of this and
Right.
start having more brand partnerships. So
Yeah.
from there, it was the process of reaching out to more brands. I tried to make my big model with, and this is how I was able to leave teaching. I try to have reoccurring brand deals.
Yeah.
So I know you did like the promo for this.
Yeah.
Like Adobe is my biggest sponsor, for example,
Yeah.
and like I have a lot of reoccurring work that I do with Adobe,
Yeah.
and that was something that I was able to they're not my only partner, but
Yeah.
I could look at, okay, this is one partner that I have reoccurring work with. I
Right.
could I could forecast what it will be like for me to not be a teacher anymore.
Yeah.
I would know I would have approximately this much in brand deals from Adobe. And then I was able to look at my other brands and kind of piece it out from there.
Wow. That's incredible, man. And I know that first brand deal that popped your cherry, that definitely opened your mind. Like, wait a minute, if this is what I can do unintentionally,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
can I do when I actually put some real thought and plans behind it? And at that time, do you remember like how many followers you had when that first brand deal came in?
Yeah, I think I had 30,000.
Okay.
So even the $500 is probably on the lower side, right?
Sure, sure.
But it was like I said, it was a brand I knew. It was something I used already. I was probably going to share tutorial based content on them eventually for free,
Exactly.
anyways. Which was my
Exactly.
like that was like a good way for me to base it. So I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take money for this.
Yeah, I love it. I think one of the key things that you mentioned too is that, it's already in alignment with the content that you were creating, but you were creating content in a certain format or a certain style repetitively and
Yeah,
consistently enough for a brand to say, hey, I think we can fit in with this person. And that's important for everybody listening because, if you want to make yourself a candidate for brand deals, especially like niche focused brand deals, it's important for you to develop a signature content style or content format, or specific category or topic that you talk about, so that you can put yourself in position to be seen as an authority for these brands to work in. It doesn't matter if you have 30,000 followers or 3,000 followers. If you build a community around a specific brand and you have a certain content style that you've mastered, before you know it, you can actually have some brands reaching out to you. And then you did mention that you started reaching out to brands as well. And I want to talk about that. I'm going to take a quick pause because I see a lot of people that are tuning in and engaged. I need y'all to drop some fire emojis. And I want to do a quick plug because this whole conversation is powered by Creator. And I don't know if y'all know about Creator, but Creator is an influencer marketing platform, one of the best in the game. And they don't charge you anything to set up an account. So if you are serious about getting into this world of content creation and getting paid for it, like my guy Lucas, like myself, and a bunch of our friends and peers, comment, get paid, check your DM. You'll have a link to set up a free account and do that, man. And this is very important because you don't have to sit and wait for opportunities to come to you. You can go get opportunities. If you know you are a fanatic or an expert on a certain topic or in a certain space, you can leverage that to appeal to brands that have products and services within that space or whatever realm you're an expert in, and you can get paid brand deals working with them. So what was that process like for you, Lucas, when you were reaching out to brands? What was your system? Did you make a list, or were you, how did you set this up for yourself?
So the first thing I did, and I still use this, again, most of my brand deals now are reoccurring. So I try to add in, I set a current goal of like once per month, I'll work with like a new partner, a new tool that a new brand I haven't worked with, or a tool I just discovered and I've just been using. Try them out. Always make sure, I say, like, especially if we're talking like more influencer style here, make sure you actually use the tool and endorse the tool, and you can answer questions about it is the biggest thing I will say, because don't view each partnership as just a one-off, right? I say, like, even like I can work for 5 different brands, but the strength of my partnership for this brand is also going to contribute or miscontribute, I don't know what the word is there, to the strength or weakness of this brand partnership. Right. My audience has trusted me for the brands, the tools I share, or the events that I share, the products I work with. And that's huge, right? Some people, and again, I just happened to be lucky that the first brand I worked with was such a positive experience. But I know, like, some people might just go for like the first brand that reaches out to them, and it might be, not a good, reliable product. And that's going to not just reflect on the brand, but that's going to hurt their reliability to their audience. I make sure that whenever I'm sharing something, and now I turn down a lot, like most brand deals that I get in my emails, not just because of budget. Like, I think a lot of people assume I'll turn down brand deals because, like, oh, it's not enough money or it doesn't align with my budget. But even with a brand deal can have a very high budget, and I can look at it, I'll check out the tool, and I'll be like, I don't understand this tool, so I don't think I can even offer, I've said to brands, I don't think I can give you what you want from this campaign. I don't think this tool aligns with my audience, or I don't think this tool aligns with me, or I think this tool competes with something that I promote already. It's very important to be picky. This is what is representing you when you're working with these brands. So I think that's a big thing as well.
That is huge, bro. That is huge. I love that insight, because, from one perspective, I know there's people that are looking at it and they're like, whatever comes to me, I'm taking it. Like, it's an opportunity to make money. And it's like, not all money is good money, right? And at the end of the day, the reason why you got into a position to get brands to consider partnering with you and paying you is because you built a loyal audience. So the last thing you want to do is disregard your audience and go against the integrity that you have with your audience for the sake of making money. And I'm going to be very transparent. I've made that mistake before. Like, when I first started getting brand deals, I was just like, I'm going to take it. I didn't use the product before. I think I might have used it the day before I had to post about it, and I didn't know how to navigate. And then, people were asking me questions about it, and I couldn't really answer. I'm like, well, just go to the website. And it's like, man, I feel like crap. I'm getting paid to promote something that not only did I not really use, but I wasn't really passionate about it. It was just the money, and I had to make a vow to myself, like, I'm never going to do that again. So it's the same thing now. Like, I turn down a lot of brand paid brand deal opportunities if it's not in alignment with what I know my audience needs and what I actually feel confident talking about and what I have experience using and can actually vouch for. So that's huge, man. That's really big. So as far as brand deals, because I know somebody right now is like, I hear you full time, Lucas. I hear you got these reoccurring brand deals, but you ain't telling me about no type of money that you make. So just to appease the people who are listening, and you don't got to go into full specifics behind the numbers and stuff like that, but just for fun, like what was the highest paid brand deal that you got for like one project or one deliverable? What was like the highest amount that you made from one brand deal?
And deliverables are a good way to put it, right?
Yeah.
Because, and for anyone who doesn't know, like deliverable is basically like the content you're making or like the channel you're going to reach someone on. So I tried, and I'm not bypassing the question in case you're,
no, you're good.
Like,
you're good.
No, in case anyone's like, he hasn't just answered the question. But the important thing,
we hear you, Lucas. Just tell me about the money now, please.
But the important thing that I've done with my deliverables, and that, again, this takes time. Don't like expect this to happen overnight, is I want the campaign to be as successful as possible when it's with a brand I want to keep working with. So, because I want them to want to work with me on a monthly or every 2 months basis, which is usually what I go for. So the more deliverables that you can, put in unison with each other, the better the campaign's going to do. Instagram is the best platform for that. Usually when I now I have my pitch or like my offer to brands, whether they reach out to me or I reach out to them, I have it pretty locked down. I'll usually offer a reel. I've incorporated an infographic style post, so like, or the pictures of like me holding the signs, which we did together. Photo, which is a single image. That's one type of post in case my audience doesn't see my reels. Oh, there's that little new feature with the thumbs up. A reel, because most brands do want reels, and obviously speaking on video is the most effective way to get across to someone. I'll offer a certain amount of stories packaged in there. And my best thing that I put in there that I think some brands think I'm offering it as a bonus, but it's actually often the most converting thing is my email list. So I have an email list of about 10,000 email subscribers with a 40% average open rate.
That's huge.
Yeah, I send it out every week, and I just say like, I can include you as the weekly sponsor for my email list. And I say like, every week I send out my email. Here's my email list, everybody, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and before you read, if you would like to support me, why don't you check out my sponsor? And I say, check out my sponsor if you click here, right? And that's often how I get some of the most clicks, because it's not on Instagram where people want to just consume. Someone is reading, they're ready to click. So if I'm packaging all of those together, it'll usually go up, right? But I can justify asking for more if it's going to go up. So the most I've ever from one package of that, so not on like a monthly basis, is about $10,000 for all of that, which is, but that's two. That is,
Lucas, let me get $1, man.
So that is 2 main feed posts, right? But that's 2 main feed posts. That's an email blast, and that is up to 4 stories, right? So maybe I'm putting like a few stories in there. So that's a bunch of channels for someone to see it.
That's incredible. And in terms of the time and effort, how much time would you say it took for you to prepare those deliverables, like creating the reel, the graphic, the story, and then writing out the email blast?
Well, that's the thing I want to highlight too, because I think a lot of people talk about this business model or like this job. I call it, it's a job. Being a content creator is a full-time job, people. People think like, oh, you just make a video. That's so easy. But it's really not, right? Think about how many, there's obviously smooth processes and less smooth processes.
Right.
But I have to have a lot of email correspondence. I regularly update like a media kit with the analytics of my audience, my audience breakdown, my engagement rate. I give examples, like as I say, like, hey, I can give you a reel. Like typically I'll provide a reel, like a single post, a story. Here are my last 5 brand deal stories and the analytics those got, right? I'll share something like that. And putting that together takes time. Talking back and forth and emailing takes time. Working it all into my content calendar, because again, I usually have about 6 to 8 brand deal posts per month within those various packages. So that takes time. And I haven't even talked about making the content yet, right? So when it comes to actually making the content, something I've done that anyone who's newer to this, you might want to, and I'd actually love to know your process too.
Yeah.
I actually, when it comes to reels in particular, before I film the video for the brand, I write out my script. I write out exactly what I plan to say.
Yes. Yeah.
Most brands, like I said, will give you a content brief, which is like a quick little PDF
Right.
about what they want you to highlight, some suggestions.
Key points.
Again, yeah, right. And some brands are better at it than others. Some brands know, like, want to give you more freedom as the content creator.
Right.
Some brands are a little bit tighter in their expectations. Find your preference, right?
Right.
But I'll look at that document. I'll go to the brand's account and see what previous content creators have done. And I'll look at all this stuff. That could take a few hours of research. And I'll write my script and I'll send the script to my contact. And I'll say, hey, here's the idea. Here's what I'm planning on filming. What do you think about this? And I think that's a must, because then I'm getting notes. They're going to tell me, first of all, if I'm completely off base from what they're expecting.
Right.
Haven't had that happen. But they might say, like, love it, Lucas, but like, you say this in the first line, can you please just change it to that? Right? Or they're like, my edits are in red. I've sent back your script. And that is so important, because I haven't filmed anything yet. Right? I'm not worried about having to do reshoots. Like, in real film movies, Hollywood movies, doing reshoots can take months. And I didn't even know that was a thing at first, because the concept of, like, you filmed a movie 6 months ago, your cast has possibly changed the way they look. They're obviously, their hair could be slightly different.
Weather's different, all kinds of factors.
Like that Justice League movie, wasn't there, where like Henry Cavill grew a mustache or something? But for another movie, and then they had to do reshoots, and they were like, we need to get rid of that mustache. And the contract for the other movie he needed the mustache for was like, no, that's going to mess up our filming. So they CGI'd out his mustache and it looked terrible. Like, it was so obvious. I don't want to do that with my content either, right? So I send the script, get it approved, or as much as possible, and then film it. And even then, there still might be edits, right? There still could be like, hey, you showed this on screen. Can you make it longer? Can you take this out? But at least I'm cutting down on the amount of edits they're requesting. But that back and forth can be a process of like 2 weeks, leading up to the post date, getting the cat, right? So sometimes you're scrambling, and you've probably felt this too. Like, sometimes brands will approach you like and want to post in like 4 days or like less, right? And they obviously come at it understanding that they have a short time frame, but that can be like, you kind of have to drop everything and be able to put a video together, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, no, there's so much work that goes into it. Between the planning and then the execution and then the delivery. And my process is similar. Some brands, they require you to submit a script beforehand so they can look it over and approve it before you actually start recording. Some brands just want you to kind of take full control of the creative process, and you create something that's natural to you. You submit it, they give you feedback, and if need be, you make whatever adjustments. That's what I kind of do. If a brand asks for a script, I do the same exact thing as you. I take time, plan out the script. I study the brand, the product. I pick out what elements of it I think are most relevant to what my audience is going to be interested in and what I feel most excited to talk about. Then I prepare the script and submit that. And then once I get it approved, I'll start the process of recording. And what I personally do when I'm recording content for brand deals, I actually record multiple versions, right? With multiple hooks, multiple call to actions. And, I sequence things a little bit different just so that I have a variety in case what I submit for their approval doesn't really match. I have some backups just in case.
Nice.
But, you do whatever you got to do. When a brand is willing to pay you $10,000 or even $100, you want to make sure that you really put your best foot forward, because you never know what that opportunity can turn into. And and the key to getting those recurring brand deals or getting brands to come back for future campaigns, it's all based off of how well you do with the first brand deal that they ever give you, regardless of however much it is. So you have to take pride in the work that you're doing, regardless of how much they're paying, because the moment that you accept the brand deal, you're saying, hey, I accept this. I'm going to show up the best version of myself and give you some good content and represent your brand in the best way possible. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's huge, man. And Bro, I mean, at the end of the day, $10,000, I don't know what people wouldn't do to get a paid brand deal to pay them $10,000. But this is the type of money that is possible in this world of content creation and being a paid creator, man. And I got to say it one more time for everybody who's just tuned in. Comment, get paid, okay? If you are listening to Lucas and myself and you're getting excited about the idea and the possibility of you being able to get paid to record content and talk about brands that you like and brands that you support, you want to go ahead and get yourself an account with Creator. They are the official representatives. This whole conversation is powered by Creator. So if you comment, get paid, you'll get a DM. You get a link to set up a free account with them, and they'll allow you to get access to brand deals without having to pay for it. That's a huge deal. So comment, get paid if you want to get paid to promote content and work with different brands like Lucas and myself and a lot of other successful creators. So yeah, man, let's keep talking about this. I know it had to be, now from what you've been saying, and I can tell, like, you're calculated, you plan things out, you think ahead, you don't make rash decisions. But I can still imagine it being a little bit nerve-wracking to officially say, I'm done working. Like when you handed in that resignation letter, like what was the feeling you had once it was all said and done? Were you like relieved? Were you excited? Like, was it just like motivated? Like it's game on, let's go. What were you feeling when you made that transition officially?
I actually felt very good about it, but like I did both for 4.5 years, right? So having done both for 4 years, again, I'm not a huge risk taker, I guess. So I was pretty confident at that point. I was like turning down work for my business because I was like, well, I can't do that. I'm teaching from 9 till 5. So because of all those different opportunities, I felt very confident, very safe in what I was doing. And again, something that was allowed me to get a lot of confidence was having reoccurring brand deals. And I like how you said that. Well, obviously it's our business. We want to have it be sustainable and strong, and you should want all your brand deals to do super well. But that's why I can't stress enough how important it is to like pick the good brand deals that you can fully endorse and you are happy to endorse and talk about, because you want it to do as well as possible. Like I said, sometimes if a tool is pitched to me and I don't like it, or I've tried it before, or if I do try it, I'm just like, yeah, this is cool, but I don't see my audience really wanting this. I'll usually say like, hey, just like, thanks for reaching out, but I don't see this being very compatible with my audience and your goals for the campaign. And that's okay to do. I think that's important to do. There's a lot of privilege that comes to being able to be patient like that. And that's why I was grateful to have my teaching job at the same time. It wasn't like, okay, this is the only way I'm getting money. I need to take every brand deal that comes left, right, and center. I think it was very beneficial for me in the long term of my business to be a teacher full time and to have that at its very base, no matter what. Like Instagram gets deleted tomorrow, I still had that, right? So that was really good while I was able to grow at my own pace for my business. I don't feel like I rushed anything. You mentioned the importance of your brand content or your partnership content aligning with the way you create, right? And what your audience expects from you. And I think that's an important one. I've seen a lot of accounts that will like use some sort of like growth gimmick, right? Like a certain type of reel, for example. You know, there's tons of examples. We talk about these all the time. But like a specific gimmick or like follow loop and get an audience fast. And it could be completely genuine. Like someone could be sharing just really good content. I know when like January, February, when all these AI had like a boom, there was like the tech boom of AI tools. And there were so many AI tool startups that were using influencer marketing and reaching out to content creators. And there are some people who very quickly grew their account entirely with just like, here's this AI tool, here's this AI tool, here's this AI tool, and just kept going. And I think they probably had a good gig going, but I think they hit a wall where they were like, okay, I think my audience kind of just got sick of me just sharing 37 different tools when they maybe need 2, and that doesn't feel sustainable. So I like that my growth has been sustained. I didn't like grow my audience in like a 90-day period. And that's why I'm not doing posts like, here's how I got to this in 90 days, right? That's a common thing people do. Like I see that all the time as a hook. And you know, it's nothing wrong with it. But I do find that in terms of business, the
Yeah.
long drawn out sustainable strategy is really what works.
100%, man. And I agree because that's my journey, right? Like my journey is like, it wasn't like an overnight success unless you consider 3 years overnight,
Right.
right? Like it took me time to really grow. And, I've done those posts where it's like, how I got from 0 to 100,000. And it's
Oh, I
like, when you
have
go into
too.
the
Yeah.
caption,
Yeah.
I'm giving you the full breakdown
Yeah.
of what it actually took. You know
Yeah.
what
It
I'm saying?
wasn't
It
30
wasn't, it
days.
wasn't use this trending audio.
Yeah.
It was no, it was hours of content creation, thousands of posts that didn't perform well,
Yeah.
hundreds of content strategy adjustments, collaborations, a whole bunch of things. And, through that, you get to appreciate that sustainable growth a lot more. You know what I mean? And companies respect that as well. Brands that want to partner with you, they want to know that you're going to be around for a while. They want to know that you're constantly growing. Your audience is getting more and more engaged, and that does put you in a position to attract reoccurring brand deals. And I love that you said that, man, and you made that comparison about people who are, doing the whole AI stuff and talking about every single AI tool out there and inundating their audience with way more tools than they actually need to be successful in business online. And if you can just focus on working with one brand and getting those reoccurring brand deals and continuing to strengthen your relationship with them and expand on the information you provide your audience about that brand and how to maximize their experience with that brand, I think that goes so much farther.
Yeah.
And it allows you to not have to really stress about, okay, how am I going to pitch this one? Or, oh my God, let me go home and study this website and this product. You're already at home. You've already acclimated yourself with the brand. You know what their morals are. You know what their brand principles are. You know what their ethics are. You know what they're about. So it's easier for you to talk about it and introduce other
Yeah.
features or other services that they have and that they launch along the way. And I commend you, bro. That's one of my goals too. Like I'm telling you now live, I'm giving you your flowers now. Because I don't think people do this enough, but like, bro, I look up to you. I'm inspired by you. The fact that you've been able to acquire these reoccurring brand deals that have allowed you to walk away from your full-time job and be a full-time creator, it's impressive. It's inspiring. It's a huge milestone. And yes, I have brand deals. I have a number of like recurring brand deals,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still the next level. So I get inspired by people like
Oh,
you. And I'm sure that
thank
everybody
you.
listening I'm sure that everybody listening here is inspired by you as well, man. So, as far as this is the last money question I'm going to ask you, because I already see people licking their fingers trying to count their pockets right now. But what was your biggest year financially? And you don't have to give a specific number, but you can say like over this or over that, but like what was your biggest year so far? Because I believe it's going to continue to climb. But what was your biggest income year from brand deals to date?
Well, it would currently be this year, which isn't done yet, which is
Right,
good.
right.
The biggest thing is, so again, I know that the US is very different.
Yeah.
Teaching in Canada, being an elementary school teacher in Canada is a pretty sweet gig. So
Yeah.
This is Canadian
Yeah.
dollars, but like a full after 10 years of experience as a teacher, an elementary school teacher, I think they just got like a bump up where I think they max out at like 114 grand or 104 grand, let's say,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
nuts, right? And
Yeah.
I have done it. I
Yeah.
think a society is built when teachers are valued for how much work they do.
Mm.
But it got to the point where I
Powerful.
realized I never thought it would be possible, but when I realized I can replace that with brand deals in not a full year and
That's good.
not working a 9 to 5 every day and building
Right.
my own schedule
Yeah.
was again, I'm not a risk taker.
Yeah.
I'm not a risk taker. I don't consider myself a big risk taker. So I waited till I was able to replace
Right.
what I could make as a teacher. I was like 3 years off from being top grid as a teacher, so I wasn't
Gotcha.
making the
Gotcha.
104. But
Yeah.
I waited till brand deals could replace that, and
That's beautiful.
I wanted to make sure I could cushion myself with that.
Yeah, man. I think that's incredible. And, your journey is definitely an inspiration. You may not be a risk taker, bro, but what you've been able to accomplish, I say a short frame of time, because 4 years of being a content creator, that's not a lot of time, but you've made your time count. And now you're in a position where you are doing what you enjoy and what you love at a very high level. And the best part is it's just the tip of the iceberg, man. So I just appreciate all the gems that you shared about how to negotiate these brand deals, what to look for in a brand that you're going to accept an opportunity from, and how to put yourself in the best position to maximize that opportunity and be able to acquire more in the future, bro. So I mean, I don't even know. I would love to talk to you for another 2 hours, but I'm not gonna.
We
hold
always
you
have great chats. You know that. We
I'm
always
not
have
gonna
fun
hold you
vibes.
hostage. Yeah, no, I appreciate you so much, man. So just, before I let you go, man, what's something important that you want to first of all, let everybody know what you've got going on, because I think everybody needs to be following you. And if you're not following Lucas already, please go hit that drop down arrow, hit that follow button on Lucas's name. Make sure you stay up to date with him. He shares incredible social media tips, Instagram tips, things that anybody from any niche can benefit from. This is one of my peers that I look up to, that I'm inspired by, that I collaborate with. And he's somebody I put my stamp of approval on. So definitely follow him. But yeah, man, let everybody know what you've got going on, and just leave them with one inspirational message that they can walk away with from this conversation on top of what you've already shared.
Yeah, I always say, like, again, as I probably just made clear, like from this chat, the strength of my business is the strength of my community, the strength of my audience. So I always appreciate people, supporting my content. I'm one of the people who I don't know, I want to know your thoughts on this, but I am like 99% sure Instagram says when you put that paid partnership tag on your content, no, we don't limit the reach. I know Instagram limits the reach the second
100%.
that paid partnership. So if you see paid content, give it a look, right? Like, not even just me. When your favorite creators share something and you see that paid partnership tag, hear them out, see what it's all about, right? And see what they have to share is what I would say if you want to support your favorite creators. As for what I want to share, I'm really happy with my email list. I've been doing a lot of hard work with it. It's just a weekly. It goes out every Thursday, usually Friday. And I just share the week's social media updates, which is, not just Instagram exclusive, does obviously lean heavier to Instagram because that is that's the platform that's evolving every single day, apparently. But yeah, every Thursday or Friday, I share the latest social media updates and just bite-sized format, give you the need to know info. If you want to join that, just send me a DM. It's completely free. Just send me a DM with newsletter, or say, hey, Lucas, you mentioned your newsletter. Can you give me the link? And I'll give you the sign-up link for that. And my takeaway tips that I don't think I've shared yet, actually, is we've obviously talked about brand deals. We have dabbled in things like, there are different models, communities, there are digital products, there is coaching. When I started doing this, all everybody did, there was a bit of digital product stuff. All anybody in my niche did was coaching. That's it. Everyone was basically like, they're only doing this to become a coach. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a coach, but don't just like assume based on what other people are doing that there is a model for how you have to run your business. No one really thought, and before I was doing it, no one in my niche really was doing brand deals. I've literally seen in my niche, I've seen the evolution of me adding in brand deals, and only just a handful of other creators doing brand deals about creator tools, about, content creation software, social media marketing tools. And now it's everywhere. I think so many of these tools realize what's better to share a tool about how to use social media than to the people who talk about how to use social media. So don't look at what other people are doing and feel like you have to do that. Really do feel around and try a bunch of different ways to monetize for your business and find the one that works for you. I hate coaching. I will probably never do any coaching. I don't like doing it. It's not enjoyable to me. Probably because I teach every day, or I was teaching every day. Right? I'd rather teach in a classroom. I don't want to then coach someone one-on-one. Some people love coaching. Some people love, different styles. So just find what works for you. Don't assume you have to do this, you have to do that. Try it all and see what sticks.
I love that, man. Yeah, it's powerful. The best model is the model that works for you. There is no one way. There is no perfect way. Just do what works for you and maximize the opportunity. But overall, like, don't sleep on this world of being a content creator. There's so much opportunity. It can literally turn a full-time teacher into a full-time creator. It can literally turn somebody who's unemployed with no job into a a coach and
Yeah.
an expert and a creator and getting paid. Like there's so much opportunity. So I hope that you got that inspiration from listening to Luke and just getting all the value that was shared from our conversation. Lucas, I appreciate you, man, so much. I'm excited to just see you continue to ascend as a creator,
Same to you.
continue to make a positive impact. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. And we're gonna be doing some collabs in the near future anyway, man. You already
It's
know
actually,
we're locked in.
it feels like every time we do lives, I'm like, I swear we've like hung out in person, but then I realize we've never met in person.
Right.
So we'll figure it out one
Right.
day.
Yeah, nah,
It feels
man.
like we have.
Yeah, it's such good vibes, man, and I love doing this. So I appreciate you, and anything you need me for, man, you already know. Just hit me up, bro. But thank you so much for taking some time out, spending some time, dropping some gems, and sharing your story, man. You're an inspiration, bro.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody in the audience as
Let's
well.
get it. Let's get it. God bless. Y'all give it up for Lucas. Make sure y'all go follow him. Hit him up in his DMs. Get on his newsletter because he's dropping gems in the newsletter and he's dropping gems on his page all the time. So go give that man a follow. This replay will be up in the next 24, 48 hours. Keep a lookout for that. And one last time, comment get paid on this video, on this post in the thread, so that you can get access to Creator and set up a free account so you can start getting some brand deals. This is powered by Creator, the #1 influencer marketing platform in the world, if you ask me. So comment, get paid, check your DMs, get that link, set up an account, start getting some brand deals. I'll see you on the next episode of Convos with Creators very soon. God bless. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's go. Thanks, Lucas.
Have a good one.